All right, guys. You guys ready?
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay. How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing
Cold
pretty
day.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to redo that. Actually, no, it's fine.
It's okay to laugh on a podcast.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. This is our first time. We're gonna be super awkward, but that's okay. But anyways, so good to have all of you. For people who are listening, if there's gonna be any people listening, probably our wives.
I hope so.
If you're wondering why we're doing this, just so you know, my name is Deep, by the way. I've been wanting to do this for like a really, really, really long time. Honestly, ever since I've gone out of the military, that was back in 2019. And then, of course, the pandemic happened, and we saw how that shit show went. And I tried, actually, funny enough, I tried doing a podcast in 2020.
Really?
Yeah, there's a reason why I have a lot of this equipment. Yeah, so back in 2020, I tried doing this podcast with two of my military buddies, but they both lived really far away. One of them lived in Virginia, the other one lived in Florida. I have a picture I'll show you after. Maybe you can put it in the podcast. There's a picture of me. This is during a pandemic. My ex took that picture of me. I'm wearing boxers.
Okay.
and I'm
Getting intimate already.
I'm doing a video podcast with my friends over Zoom, and but you can't see anything below. That's how I took all my Zoom classes, because I was also at the same time was in going to college.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. Obviously, the podcast didn't work out because the timing would never work out. They were 3 hours ahead of me. I was in California, and I invested in all of this equipment. Plus, I was a media studies student, so I didn't mind investing in a lot of the equipment. I'm like, sooner or later, eventually, I'm going to be using a lot of it anyways. We did one podcast. I don't even know if I have it. I probably deleted it. We were talking about COVID and all the hypocrisy we were seeing with it and all the jab vaccine stuff that was happening. It was wild. So didn't work out, but that was the first try that with the podcast. After that, this is also the time where, censorship, in the United States when it comes to media, it's been happening for a really long time. But I feel like 2020 was the year when it really opened up the hypocrisy in front of like normal people, like common civilians. People started realizing, okay, censorship does happen on social media. And how it happens if you have opposite views, you will get canceled. Because this is also around the time 2019, 2020, people were starting to get canceled because Trump got elected, and anybody who speak in the favor of Trump would just get immediately canceled. So I tried to do a podcast with some of my other friends who I lived nearby, because I'm like, okay, the online stuff is not going to work out because nobody has time and people live really far away. Maybe I should just get somebody nearby to do a podcast with me. And as you know me, I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna speak whatever I believe in.
Yeah, whatever you feel.
And a lot of my friends knew that, and since it was 2020, a lot of my friends had really good jobs and they were afraid of getting canceled, so nobody was comfortable doing any kind of internet or public appearances talking about all this stuff with me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I guess nobody has balls to talk about anything anymore,
Yeah, they're afraid to be labeled as, whatever.
Yeah, you would get labeled as a racist. You get labeled as whatever, homophobe.
Well, that's the thing. You can't have your opinion.
You just can't have your opinion
Well,
anymore.
actually, you're not supposed to say how you feel, because that's looked down upon.
Yep. It's things like this you would never believe would happen in America, but unfortunately we have got to that point. And hate to say it, I don't want to cherry pick parties over here, but a lot of these liberal left democratic policies are the reason where we are today.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's why I have all this equipment. So this is my, I guess, second attempt to start a podcast. And if you're wondering, I mean, you guys obviously know, we picked the podcast to be DeepState for obvious reason. Obviously, we're not Deep State. We're nowhere near Deep
No.
State. The original idea when me and Josh, we started talking about starting a podcast, the original name was the White and Brown Podcast.
Yeah. It's still not a bad name though.
I don't think so. I think it's still a good name. Maybe we can start another segment of our show. That'll be the White and Brown show. We can have all of us, Chris, Josh, and me. We'll have a little bit of creamer with the black coffee.
Sounds good.
That actually sounds pretty good too.
Yeah. But I mean, my view of this podcast would be, obviously you see the American flag behind both of you. You're wearing an American flag hat. As the first episode of this podcast, I just want people to know, obviously people see these days, people see the American flag and you're automatically labeled as racist, homophobe, and whatever. We just want you to know, I mean, obviously you see, like, yeah, they're so racist, they're sitting with the brown man right now.
Yeah, that's the big thing. It's like, it's labels that don't even get a chance to even talk about what's actually happening, what you even think about anything. It's just, if you see that, immediately just put in a box.
Yep, immediately put in the box. It's sad we got to that point, but I just wanted the audience to know, our podcast is all about like American values, and just because we're American values doesn't mean like, we're, because the media portray American values as it's not compassionate towards anybody who is not from America. Of course, we're compassionate, but with common sense, of course, which liberal left doesn't have any. We believe in American values and people's rights, of course. And that's what this podcast is all about, But that's all from me. Josh, Chris, what do you think our podcast's gonna lead to? What are you expecting from it? What would you like it to be? What values would you want our podcast to stand with? So go ahead.
I mean, you can go.
I was just gonna say there's a lot of things out there that you see in different podcasts and what people talk about, and like they're just getting shut down left and right. And we live in a society nowadays where it's all about commenting and tweeting and just saying your opinion left and right. But then like you say something that you think is actually true, that is true in your heart, and everybody's like, well, just because that's right, it's actually wrong, because nowadays right is wrong and wrong is right.
Yeah, that's a big thing. It's like really, it doesn't matter what the truth is anymore. It's like, it just matters what your opinion is, and it doesn't matter about if it's right or wrong. It's just your opinion is right. It doesn't matter the facts anymore. It doesn't matter if there's actually things going on that contradict your argument. It doesn't matter at that point. It's just everyone wants to be right, and that's pretty much the whole thing about it. It's like, it's simple. It doesn't need to be that way. And I think talking about certain things, talking about things that are going on in the country, like some people say that, oh, what am I going to do about it? Oh, what are you going to do about it? You talk about it. You actually bring it to light. You don't just, oh, yep, that's happening, and sit on your butt. Don't talk about it.
Yeah, because that's the thing,
That's not going to do anything.
The whole point from a lot of the left people that you hear these days, they don't want to talk about it. And especially they don't want you to talk about it to people that they are talking about it. They'll talk all this about, oh, these people are this, they're racist, but I don't want to talk to them though because they're racist. Also, they shouldn't have a platform to talk about it, so let's censor them. I don't know. To me, it sounds really like stuff that they did during Hitler time. You know, if you didn't believe in his values, you just get shut down or get put into whatever jail or prison. But
hopefully, we're not that bad.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not that bad. But
The world is still pretty messed up, though.
yeah,
I mean, we're in a darker place now than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when we were all kids. I mean, each day that passes, the world just gets darker and darker. Each year, there's more and more catastrophic events, political bullshit. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know if I was supposed to swear.
no, it's okay. It's too late.
Cancel.
But you know what I mean, though? I mean, like...
Yeah, no, agree.
And a lot of it is fear-induced.
Yeah.
I mean, all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East and all the political stuff and everything that's connected and tied in, money involved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, there's so much out there that even if you try to dig deeper, there's consequences. There's consequences for going further for the truth.
Yeah.
Because the average person isn't supposed to know the truth.
Yeah.
But yet, in growing up as a kid, that's what you're taught. You're taught to speak your opinion. You're taught to learn the truth and find the values.
Yeah.
And what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, I think, at least last 4 years, I would say. Funny enough, the whole Biden presidency. I feel like, for the most part, and people are learning this the hard way, people always just thought, or people assumed, that if they're getting any news, if they're watching CNN, if they're watching Fox or and whatever, NBC, all these things, that they're getting the actual truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Trump really exposed all these media companies where people realized that what they're getting fed from all these media companies is actually not the truth. Mm. It's actually way further from the actual facts. And they went after him for that. They literally went after Trump because he was exposing the system. He was exposing the deep state. Mm-hmm. And I think people have learned a lot how media worked. I don't think there was enough media literacy among a lot of Americans, because unless you're going into the media field of study, unless you experience it, most Americans will just believe anything that they watch on TV or they watch on Fox News or CNN. I think that's the part where we learned a lot from the past 8 years. Like, okay, they're not telling the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, it really is fake news.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I think Trump, if you look at Trump, he's been there. He's a Hollywood guy. Yeah. You know, he was in the media. He's been in the media from back from 80s, 90s.
He's
right?
also a businessman.
He's also a businessman.
He's been a businessman ever since his first business. I mean, he's been a businessman his whole life.
Yeah, he is. He really good businessman. I mean, he knows it all, and he just exposed a normal, I would say back in those days, but 2015, 2016, a normal politician who's I don't know the term, basically the old politician like Biden, been in the politician in 50 years. They would never expose the media because they use the media to brainwash people and deliver their messages. Yeah. But Trump did the exact opposite, so they went after him for that. Yeah.
I think that's also part of the reason why he's also just being prosecuted and all that stuff is
Oh,
because he
That's
literally
straight up witch
ripped
hunt.
the roots out of the ground and said,
Yep.
"Look, this is enough. This has to stop."
Yeah, that is straight up witch hunt. That's the kind of
And-
stuff you see in Russia, like political opponents going after their political opponents.
Mhm.
Basically, Putin, um, as an example, would go after anybody who's running against him.
Mhm.
That's the stuff you see in like communist countries,
Yeah.
and that stuff is happening right now. But I think kudos to Twitter or X and Elon Musk. I think he really opened up the gates to the independent journalism. And this is, I mean, if you think about it, for the past 3-4 years, a lot of the stuff, a lot of people like us were getting censored. The only reason why a lot of the stuff about immigration and people squatting their homes and like all these legal immigrants raping and killing our women are right here and children, we know about it because of him, because he's not censoring any of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. Like, it's a lot of it has come from the birth of things like X and Facebook and YouTube and stuff. All the media that we're able to put out there, and anyone can put out there and be able to consume all of it. Like, that's what has really driven what's going on right now, because it's all about clicks, all about likes, and it's not about the facts anymore. It's about what can we say, what can we do, what can we skew to get as many likes, clicks, shares, all that, and that just drives the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that just steamrolls everything. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter about anything else. It's just about that.
Yeah.
And that's why people are getting off of Facebook. That's why people are getting off of X, all that. And it's a double-edged sword, because it's such a good thing to connect people, but at the same time, it gets used for that. And I think what the root of the problem is, it comes down to money. Obviously, it always comes down to money. Like, it's always about what you can do for me, what I can get from you, and that's how it all works. Like, it doesn't matter what someone says. If you can skew that your way, then great, do it.
Yeah.
So
Greed.
yeah,
Greed
Yeah.
is very bad.
Yeah, I feel like also too though, I feel like a lot of the time, well, at least in our American way, I think we're really fortunate to, at least our country, very fortunate enough to have prosperity and have money. And the fact that we have that comfort of having money, we're comfortable to a lot of the time. That, you know, I'm not agreeing with you. I agree with you. There's still a lot of greed. I feel like rich people and having money has been labeled in a very bad term. I don't think money is bad at all. You know, I'm glad I'm not rich, but you know what I mean. I'm glad I have money. If I didn't have money, you know, I won't be able to provide for my family and do this. You know, all of us getting together. Money is a good thing to have. Money is a really good tool, and kind of like you say, it's like kind of like a double-edged sword. Yeah. I think in today's society, everything is a double-edged sword. You know, everything can be slippery slope. That's where there needs to be like a balance, which our country used to be. There at one point, we had a balance. We used to have like a bipartisanship when it comes to our parties, when it comes to our views, everything. There was like a balance, and where that I think that balance came from common sense, which we don't have any in our country. it's sad to say there's some of the stuff that I share with my friends over in India. Um, by the way, if you don't know, I was born and raised in India. Moved here when I was 19, so I've been here 10 years. So I still have a lot of friends there. So there's some of the stuff that I share with my friends over there in India. They don't believe me. They think I'm pulling their leg. The stuff about transgenderism, the stuff it just like I was talking to my buddy. I was telling him about the concept of gender. He was so confused. I spent 15 to 30 minutes to try to explain it to him, the whole they them stuff. He's at the end of our conversation, he's like, I don't get it. Like, there's man and a woman.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I agree with you. It just we have this mental illness stuff going on in America where people think they have a third person living inside of them.
Yep.
And it just, they don't have the language for it because it's common sense, you know. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's the inclusivity. Like, everyone's gotta be included. Everyone's gotta be right, be able to speak their opinions. So if I feel like I want to be a cat, okay, you're a cat.
Yeah, no, I think the whole thing about like inclusivity, diversity, I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, like, obviously our country has diversity and inclusivity. If it didn't have it, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys talking. You know, obviously that's there, but now they're like have lost their mind that they want more. It's like, you know, you give them a finger, you give them equal rights, but now they want your rights too. Now they want your elbow.
Yep.
And now we're headed towards the time. I feel like in the last 2 decades, in America, like, hey, no, we want this now. Okay, that's fine. You're right. You should have. Back in the day, you know, with the MLK, with the equal rights, which I believe in. I believe there should be equal rights for everybody. I don't necessarily believe in like equity the way they're going about it, right? Yeah. And now what they want, now we want your rights, and now we're headed towards the time, no, we want rights, we just don't want to have you to have any rights. Yeah. And this is exactly what's happening with the gun rights things too. But like, oh, we just want whatever we want. You have guns, we don't want you to have guns. Also, defund the police. Yeah. It just, these people have lost their marbles. They're retarded.
Well, let's just say too, like, you take, for example, you defund the police, then if there's nothing for the police and they have no purpose and you get rid of the police, then there's anarchy, there's complete chaos, there's crime is free. You can literally do whatever you want. So let's not defund the police. Let's keep the safety. Let's keep the order and that normal control.
No, the police are the ones doing all the crime.
Yeah.
They're killing people.
Yeah, I think these people, I think a lot of these people, they live in this like fairy tale imaginary land. Well, actually, they literally do, because they call themselves cats and dogs. So they do live in this la land. They live in this la land where they think that they live in this safe place and nothing is ever going to happen to them. And it just wild, but that's not the reality, you know. I don't have to tell you this. Obviously, these retarded liberals don't read. Pardon my language. Actually, don't pardon my language. They are retarded liberals.
That's a podcast. We're sharing how we feel, so who cares?
Yeah,
I mean, if we offend people, whatever.
Well, it's gonna kill me. Why?
Oh my bad.
Let's have them not watch our podcast. Our families know. We don't need to tell anybody that we have a podcast, especially my work. But yeah, I think these people live in La La Land. It's not real, you know. Any country, if you look at the history and all the countries that when you give up the right to defend yourself, you're done. Mm-hmm. And they're starting in this country with 2 of our most important rights. You know, we have a First Amendment, we have Second Amendment. It's a beautiful thing. You lose what they're doing. They start canceling your First Amendment right, and then they go after your Second Amendment. You're done. It's basically a communist socialist country. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's easier to control. It's easier to control people if they can't fight back, and that's another part of like the TikTok ban that keeps trying to happen. Like being on TikTok, I watch a lot of TikTok, right? More than I should have, but the amount of just easy community that you can just be able to really share anything without being able to hide on Facebook or like pretend anything on Facebook is so hard to like try and get around their community guidelines now.
Algorithm or whatever.
Yeah, because I forgot what I posted it in. I'd have to look, but it was something that did not. Oh, I remember about abortion rights, and having a kid now, having a 2-month-old. I said like very strong language. I didn't swear or anything like that, but I said stuff like having a kid now. Like I thought I was pro-life before. Oh, you want to come at me now about abortion?
You got more of a reason.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was like, I think I said, I'll cripple you or something like that. And Facebook went on saying, oh, this can go against our community guidelines. I'm like, okay, yeah, makes sense. Yep.
And this is the same organization that have groups filled with pedophiles and who are sharing children's photos or whatever. Same thing with Instagram. And they want to talk about the community guidelines language. It's the same place where if you're a certain race can literally be naked and do whatever, shake your ass in front of anybody, you're fine. But if you speak about like not killing babies, you're automatically, hey, no, you go against our community guidelines. It's wild. It's pretty crazy. Now, when it comes to TikTok, now there's I'm like, I have one of those views about TikToks. Like, do I want TikTok to be banned? Yes or no? Maybe you might disagree with me on here. TikTok is Chinese owned, and I do believe that, it's one of those things where our data is being collected by Chinese government. I 100%. I mean, and so I think.
Where isn't it?
Right. I mean? But I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't happen at all, but I definitely don't want it to go to Chinese government, So do I think it needs to be banned? No, but I do think if it needs to be to somebody, it needs to stay in America. If it's an American company, I don't want it to be banned. I would never want any platform that, values freedom of speech. Now, I'm not on TikTok. I don't know how much they censor people on TikTok. Probably
almost none.
I mean,
really. I see pretty much. I've seen actual videos of the Ukraine war, like people being killed, and sometimes things get taken down. Which is weird. Like there'll be things like that on there, but then this person's community guideline violation gets taken down because of some stupid reason. So like it's weird like that. But on TikTok you see a lot more of raw video of things and things that you can actually find out, like what was that train derailment in I think Ohio?
Oh yeah, the Palestine, Ohio.
Yeah, and it was I saw that on TikTok before I even saw it in the news, and I saw firsthand videos of things happening, and I'm still seeing videos every once in a while of, rivers and people's yards and stuff.
Yeah.
Where do you see
I
that
mean, mainstream media will never stream anything that goes against this Biden government. Okay. Josh, are you on TikTok at all?
Yes and no. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm a hit or miss.
Keep talking. I'm gonna move this mic more towards you.
I mean, the stuff I got buddies that are on TikTok more than I am.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos, it just depends on like what you see. I mean, like I had a coworker tell me that he, for some reason, was watching a video that was like building a garden, and the next thing you know, a video pops up about breaking into a car. I was like,
Yeah.
Now, is this like a breaking into the car, like
like
somebody
we're
was
like
breaking
a
into
full
the car,
like
or how to
someone
break into
is taking a TikTok video showing you how to break into a car and how to start it without the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't need to be seen. That
Yeah.
doesn't need to be known.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, well, if
I mean, you can find that stuff on YouTube.
I know it's
That's
like,
yeah, you
but
can
that's the
find
thing.
it.
Like they're not going to censor that.
Yeah.
But like you censor, they're going to censor something like stupid, like make it a campfire. Like I
Yep.
don't know,
Yeah.
something normal
Yeah.
that the normal person's going to like actually do.
Yeah.
Not like
I think this is where our national values and morals comes into play. Like obviously a lot of this stuff like breaking into the car or doing all this criminal stuff or stuff that you wouldn't want your children to learn have always existed. And one way or another, if somebody wanted to do all this stuff, will learn. But people wouldn't, because they had common sense and people had morals and values, and they grew up in good families. And but I feel like these days a lot of the stuff it's not there, and so people just had that sense of like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. And now these days people don't know it anymore, but it's sad reality is a lot of parents, a lot of families aren't there for their children, so they just don't know what is wrong and what is right, so they just would want to do whatever they see on media. And this is where a lot of that stuff comes into play.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is like just how things are today. It's so much tougher money wise and cost of living and all that stuff. Like there's, I think, that driving it too, that there's so much easier access to that stuff that the people who are really struggling, the people who are really have nothing to lose, basically, why wouldn't they do it? If your morals aren't there, if your values aren't what they should be, why not?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that's it. Everything is just so much easier to consume, so much easier to find online now, and it's just gonna keep getting easier. I mean, at some point, this phone is gonna be ancient, and we're gonna be like, how the heck did we touch this thing? I'm just thinking about something right now, and dunk. Yep, I have the information.
that sounds like the Neuralink.
Yep,
that
exactly.
Elon
That's
Musk
what I'm
is
talking
working
about.
on. Well, actually, yeah.
We'll talk about that too, which is, I saw the video, it was pretty amazing. But when I kind of follow up on what you just said, you say a lot of people who are in need of some of that stuff, they will break into people's car and rob. What's funny though, most of the people who do go out, break into people's car and rob people, or like in the name of BLM protest, they'll break into all these stores, burn down. They're not doing it because of the need. They're just doing it because they're like, oh yeah, whatever. They're not stealing food. They're stealing stuff like Jordans. They're stealing stuff like PlayStation or iPhones. They don't need any of that. They just go out and sell them. Then they do drugs, and then they go on live stream. Then they show you all their money.
Yep.
All of these people, they're not doing it because they need bread for their family. Most of them don't care about families or children. If anything, a lot of them who have children, after they have children with their wives, leave their wives. And so I don't think they're doing it for that reason. Now, I don't speak for every single one of them. I'm sure there's few 1% out there that still maybe they really do need money. But I would say though, because a lot of these people who defend all these criminals, this is the excuse they have, that there's oppression in this country that that is against the people of color, that they can't make enough money because there's systematic racism. I think all of that is bullcrap. The fact
that is definitely bullcrap.
Yeah, I feel like, the fact that my mom, who did not speak any English, who still barely speak English, was able to move into this country, work so hard, and within 5 years, she got her own house in Seattle. She got a license and got a car, and now buying more houses for like investment purposes. Nice. The fact that she was able to do that, the fact my other friends who are from Punjab, been here 3 years, worked so hard, and they have their own, like, they drive trucks, by the way. They have their own trucks, and they're so successful. They're able to do it without even speaking a word of English. If you're telling me there's systematic racism, you're a bullcrap. Yeah. And, yeah, give me a break.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on what your situation is. Like there's so many people that, like, have $1 million house and good job, good house, everything, and they're like, they sit back and everything's good here. Everything's good in the world. There's nothing wrong in the world. And then you have people who are struggling, and you have people who are trying to make something, and they say the opposite. And that's what I said, going back to the media stuff. Both those arguments are online clashing with each other, and it just keeps going with that. Every single person in the world can talk about every single thing that's happening, and there's just more voices out there.
Yeah. And
that's the biggest thing in how different it is from even 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, Facebook was there, but it wasn't a giant...
It wasn't what it is now.
It wasn't the Facebook. It wasn't... Well, it was the Facebook back then, I think.
Yeah.
And if you watch the movie Social Network...
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually the Facebook back then.
Mm-hmm.
And good movie, by the way.
Did they show the cork board that Facebook usually had back in
the
day?
It was like, it's such a, what am I trying to say? It's such a situational thing. But at the end of the day, everyone just wants to be able to have a house, be able to provide for their family. And that's the main thing that people are worried about now, that the middle class is just
disappearing.
Yeah.
Talking about a house, there's a few stories that I want to talk about. It's been reeling. These stories, they have been coming out a lot, and a lot of that it's because of bad policies placed by all these liberal politicians. Squatters. Squatting in squatters, if you don't know, that basically is if you take over an empty house and you start living in it. Now, when the actual owner of the house comes back, he can't kick you out because you're a squatter, because now there's squatter rights. These days, squatters have more rights than the actual homeowners, which is crazy. I don't know how much of you guys have been following these stories. There one from Washington. There's few from New York. There's the most recent one in New York is where the squatters killed the homeowner, which is crazy.
Are you talking about the lady that got murdered? Yeah.
The lady got murdered, and there's another lady who on camera got arrested while she was trying to kick out the squatters.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one from Seattle, Bellevue, but I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It's just wild. I mean, here you, whether you're a first-time homeowner or you have a goal to upgrade a small house to a bigger house and look for something better. And you spend all this money and time, and you know, you go to sign the thousands of pages, you know, for a house, and next thing you know, you go on vacation or whatever, and then someone is living at your house that isn't even paying for anything. That's just kind of messed up. I mean, and the fact that you can't kick them out, and even if you try, you get arrested for that.
Yeah.
So you're telling me if like someone comes into my house and they're not paying like mortgage, nothing, they're just freeloaders, and I call the cops, I get arrested?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of
It's wild.
It's just mind blowing.
It is. It is.
Cause like the squatters shouldn't have rights. That's like basically calling them homeless, but luxury.
Well, if you think about it, that's kind of what's happening in our country too. Squatters is like, to me, it's like illegal immigrants, all these terrorists that coming into our country and illegal immigrants. They have more rights than our homeless veterans on the street. I don't know how much you guys followed the stories about like New York. They're giving them $10,000 credit cards. And I saw this
they're
video.
living in like a 4-star hotel.
They live in all these 4 or 5-star hotels, and they're still complaining.
Yes,
it's pretty wild. When I think of the whole squatter issue, there's actually, funny enough, you were talking about TikTok. I think of El Salvador. I'll think of Venezuela. This is what there's gangs in El Salvador, Mexico, all these Central American countries. What they do, these gangs would just move into your house. They don't even need to move into an empty house. They just move into a house, kick you out, and they claim the house is now their house. Right now, what's happening in our country, all these legal immigrants are coming in. Right now, they're just looking for empty houses to squat. What happens in the future? So they're just going to start kicking people out and taking over their houses. It's just pretty wild. The reason I mentioned TikTok, because there's a guy on TikTok from El Salvador, one of those illegal immigrant. He has a how-to video.
Oh, I did see this video. Yeah.
Oh.
It's a how-to video.
Yeah.
He tells all the legal immigrants on how to come to America and invade people's homes. That is just insane to me, the fact that is happening. This is what I would tell to everybody who's listening. Get armed. Get armed. Somebody try to come to your house, shoot them on the head.
Yeah, I'm
Get
seeing
armed.
a lot of people
You're
that
still gonna go to jail for that.
Hey,
Not only are you going to jail for
you-
defending your house because someone wants to live there for free, so they're just gonna take it. So you're gonna go to jail for that. You're gonna go to jail for shooting that person.
Yeah.
And whatever other random charge that they can dig up for no reason.
Kind of like what happened to this guy in Arizona. This guy's property has a big ranch at the border of Arizona. So he had it enough. So every single day, legal immigrants, possibly some terrorists, would jump. They would just come to his property, start staying there. He had enough. He called cops so many times. He called the border patrol so many times. He had it enough. To the point, at one point, the situation got escalated with one of the illegal immigrants who jumped the border, came to his ranch on his property. He ended up killing one, who is now going to prison for that, for defending himself, his family, and his house. So this is where I tell people, like, you got to be careful who you're voting for. If that's what you vote for, that's what you get. I'm not saying everybody vote for the same exact thing. But yeah.
Well, also too, just on the little voting thing, I don't believe that people that are dead should be voting.
Yep.
I mean, that just makes no sense.
So for the people who are listening who don't know the little context behind that, during 2020 election, there's a lot of people who voted in the election were actually weren't even alive. So where did they come from? Not sure, but possibly from Joe Biden's closet, I guess.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens this upcoming election.
I think it's going to be a wild year, but it'll be okay. A little message I tell to everybody. I feel like a lot of people If you're somebody who lives in a liberal state and you've just had it enough and you're just like, hey, I'm so done with this state, I just want to move out, I want to move to like Florida or Texas, this is something I have to tell you. If you move out and you move out from one bad place to a more conservative state, you're not fixing the issue.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually creating more issues. I feel like more good people leave from liberal state, more of that liberal state gets into a place where it will never change.
I'll have no chance.
Because now you're leaving that state with only retarded people to just only vote one way.
Yeah.
Okay. I would just say if you're in a liberal state and you just had enough, I know it sucks, but just stay there. I feel like things will change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What
are your thoughts on that?
There's a lot of people that I've heard there's like a mass exodus from California down to Texas.
Yeah.
And obviously Texas is like, nope, we're full. Keep your liberal views out of here and all that. And that's happening everywhere. I mean, it's not like they're just going to Texas. Like with the immigration stuff. There's in Batavia the immigration services there's about 500 immigrants from Russia. Some that are from the UK, some are from China.
Yeah.
And they're just in Batavia. There's
about
500 of them that in a random city like Batavia.
Yeah.
Do most people even know where Batavia is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's 500 of them just sitting there in who knows what's going to happen with them? Who knows where they're from? I'm not saying they're automatically bad people. They could be fine people, but you don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the immigration in New York. And New York is a whole different story.
I also think so. I feel like New York, well, nobody deserve anything, but I feel like New York deserve what it's getting to. Eric, the mayor of New York, all these states, California, Gavin Newsom, New York, they were all about all these legal immigrants, So the fact that they're getting them now, they deserve what they voted for. All these people in New York City, the business owners who are just fed up with all these illegal immigrants, they're bringing all these diseases and all that kind of stuff. You got what you voted for. You vote for, you can't expect change if you keep voting for the same exact people. Now, that being said, I immigrated here. I'm not saying all immigrants are bad. There are a lot of immigrant families that generally seek asylum and they want to be here. They want to work hard and they're here for their families. Yeah. But I think there needs to be a system, which there isn't. And that system, the solution of that system is not an open border. A country that doesn't have a border, it's not a country if anybody can just walk in there. Yeah. When all the stuff happening with Gaza and Palestine, the next country over is Egypt.
Yep.
Not taking any single one of those immigrants. They don't want any Palestinians. Because obvious reason they know what they're bringing. If you want to see a border, go ahead and look at the border of Egypt. It's probably the most barbed wired, most strong military protected border you will ever see. And then not taking in any of those Palestinian people because they know what they're bringing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too, is like these other countries that like won't allow refugees into their country for whatever the reason is. I mean, if you try and go over to another country in like a hole in the border or something, you're going to die. But here, I mean, we let these immigrants come over and they come over illegally through gaping holes in fences and, where the wall stops and there's TikTok videos and, it's like, oh, hey, if you come on over through the most shittiest way possible, I will give you $10,000. Here's a house. Here's a phone.
Yep.
You know what? Everything is paid for. Don't even worry about it. You can just hang out.
Yep. And the thing with that is, like I said, it all comes back to money because this is a cash cow for so many companies, and so many just the government itself can just see it just easily being used as money for different companies to be able to do that. $10,000.
Yep.
They get, I forgot how much, but they actually get a percentage of how much the government hands out. That company that is lending that money, they're getting a return on each one of those that they hand out.
Mm-hmm.
So each one of those, they're making profit off of.
You're talking about like the tax breaks and stuff like that.
Not just tax breaks,
Like
but
an actual commission almost.
Basically a commission. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's like just one of the things, like the housing market. The housing market in New York City is just that's a big cash cow from all of this because New York City, and it's not a secret that housing is insane there. In Harlem, Harlem apartments are about $2,500 a month for an apartment.
Yeah.
That's more than most people's regular houses for a small apartment that's probably less than 500 square feet.
I also want to point out too, I feel like cities were never designed to live in.
No.
Cities were designed to work. I think over time, I feel like we have gotten comfortable where we don't even want to travel anywhere. We just want everything within like 5 feet from us. People decided to start living in the city. There is no quality of life living in the cities. Cities were never designed to live in, always designed to work. I don't think people know that.
Yeah.
I think when people complain, hey, cities are really expensive, I can't afford a house, move out.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's telling you to work. I mean, you can work in the city. Yeah, it's going to be tough. You have to take a subway or drive to the city. You don't have to live in the city. You can move out, go live somewhere outside of the city.
Yeah.
You know? Obviously, it's especially when people, oh, everything's so expensive. It's going to be expense. You know, it's a capitalistic society, supply and demand. If there's a lot of demand, obviously in the city there's going to be demand for like a lot of commercialization, a lot of like shops and businesses wants to move out. So yes, the price is going to be high. Move out. But no, at least a lot of the people that I know, the life they choose to live in, they just want they want to party every night, be clubs and bar every night, and they want all of that every single night. So they don't want to go out to a small town because that small town doesn't have that fun loving life for them. So stop complaining because you choose that life.
Yeah. And it's just so easy to figure that stuff out. It's just so easy to okay, you don't need to be here.
Yeah.
But
people don't think these days.
Yeah, I moved back here from North Carolina. I was born and raised here, but I was a big NASCAR guy. I still am, and the reason I wanted to move to North Carolina was because that was NASCAR country, and I was gonna live on someone's couch and try and
By the way, we should definitely have a podcast about your NASCAR journey one time. So go ahead, continue.
And I was just gonna live on someone's couch and then just keep handing out resumes until I found a NASCAR job. And things change, and I started a family, and but that urge to move down there changed from just because it's NASCAR country to cost of living. And up here, the cost of living is, I think, 35% higher than what it is in North Carolina. And We got down there. We were able to get a house pretty quickly. And not saying that we didn't have any help with that, but I'm saying we were able to comfortably be able to afford a house and be able to have a dog, have a nice place to live. And we come back up here because we just think it's the best thing for the kid to be close to family. We have one cousin down there, but everyone else is up here. So at that point, it's not about you anymore when you have a kid. So we moved back up, and we moved back up in July. And right now we're trying to figure out how we're going to be able to afford a house. And we're making more money than we were down there. But taxes and the difference in cost of living up here is insane. The difference there, and it's the same thing in New York City, except even worse.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that I think when it comes to people not wanting to move, because some people just get it so stuck in their head that I can't leave what I know. And
yeah, people get comfortable.
Yeah. And it's it can be scary. I mean, that was first time we moved away, and it was definitely a exciting thing, and it was a nervous thing, but we had the best 4 years of our life down there. It was amazing down there. And sometimes people just get too comfortable in one spot. And no matter what happens, if they can't afford it, well, I can't leave because I'm too comfortable here, even though you're not exactly comfortable because you're trying to live.
Yeah, but I would say, like, at least like, the things you want, and you're working for the things you want, and it's hard work, and you choosing the hard work instead of choosing the comfortable life. And like you said, that's one of the problems we have in our society. We're getting way, way, way too comfortable with everything, which is crazy. But
well, just to touch bases on that, I mean, like, you're not going to get what you want in this life unless you do some, like, discipline and some sacrifice. And you got to roll up the sleeves and put in the hard work.
Yeah, most liberals don't know that. They just think if you just go out there, start protesting, get naked, you'll get everything you want. Because that's how the world... I'm telling you, they live in this fairy land that they think if they just go out, start protesting and rioting, they'll get whatever they want. And for the most part, they have gone that, because we see, especially under the these crazy socialist democratic government, they have gone that because that's what works for them. Facts doesn't work for them. What works for them is feelings, because they're way too much into their feelings.
You know what I just thought about? The OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We don't have, well, that's the only fan I had over there.
Oh.
That's pretty bad OnlyFans. Yep.
That was awesome.
That, you're talking about easy way out. Like, people do that, and it's an easy way.
Yeah.
Easy way to get a lot of money. And
Fast cash.
people are making bank off there. Like, just selling your feet or your body. And then
people younger than us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's
wild.
That's an easy way out. And, okay, what's going to happen when you actually need a real job?
Yeah.
When you're...
Well, they're not going to have a real job. They're not going to be any job for them by the time they get retired from the OnlyFans. I feel like, so why that is happening, why the OnlyFans is happening, and it's not just, I don't want to blame it all on women. It's not just women. OnlyFans exists. These girls OnlyFans exist because of a lot of lonely simp men. If the men won't pay them attention, these OnlyFans girls won't exist. Now, why there are a lot of men out there that are because there are a lot of men out there that are very lost, just like there are a lot of women out there that are very lost. It comes from their family, the lack of fatherhood, the lack of good motherhood, the unity of a family that doesn't exist in our society. Now, why that doesn't exist in our families? So this is something me and my wife were talking about a long time ago. I remember growing up in Punjab, anytime I would watch like a Hollywood movie, I used to see almost most of the Hollywood movies, they would be they would show families in there. They would show like they were having family dinners in the shows or movies, even if it's like a small 5 minute or like few second segment. You would see families having dinners or going to church.
Yep.
What happened to that? It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You can't even talk about God.
Yep.
You can't even talk about God in school. You can't talk about God in these movies. What they see is the society is the lack of fatherhood, and that lack of fatherhood came from because in the last so many years, in the mainstream media, in the raps, because all you see in this, because raps are really mainstreamed these days, and all you see in these raps are like, oh yeah, guns, naked women, having sex with all these women, cars, and just being super degenerate, and all it takes is one generation, because all that stuff has been getting promoted in our mainstream media for like past 2 decades. Right. If you see Oscars, if you see all these music videos, what they show in those music videos, what they show in those music videos, that people don't have any self respect for them, right? They're naked, running around. What is it? The Oscar? I don't watch Oscars. I just saw like a clip on Twitter. There's John Cena naked in the Oscars. That he was fully naked in the Oscars. It's like humiliation. That there's no back. If something like that would have happened about 20 years ago, if a girl's picture gets leaked, that's like a naked picture, that girl would be so humiliated, would never go to school. Now it is romanticized. Now it's like, oh, you go, girl. You go out there, go spread your boobs out there. And it's just crazy. And same thing with men. They're just, because men are lost. Men are lost too, and a lot of that ties back to a lot of the push with the feminism. The feminism push happened that caused a lot of division between men and women. Men didn't want to talk to women anymore, because all of a sudden men talking to women, they're labeled as, oh, you're misogynistic, you're a creep, don't come after me. So it causes division where men don't even know how to talk to women. Back in the days, men knew how to go out there, find a woman for themselves, and now they don't. So there's this division. Men are lost. They don't know how to find a woman. And so now they look for a woman online. And women, they just know good men are coming up to them. Their fathers don't know how to be a good father to their daughters. Now they're seeking all that attention online by putting their stuff out there. It's crazy. This is why it kind of leads back to, I was talking about all these liberal policies. It's a slippery slope. All it takes is one small bad policy and one generation to affect the whole next few generation. But that also, I would say, leads to good things too. There's a book that I love, that book, Stephen Arnio, God rest his soul. There's a book by him. It's called Hard Times Create Strong Men. And then it leads into strong men creates the good times. Good times creates weak men. Weak men create hard times. Then it repeats. I feel like we're in that time where in the last 20-30 minutes, with the weak men, they're creating what we're leading up to, the hard times. But I promise you, it's going to be over. We're going to go back into the good times in the future.
Last 20-30 minutes? Really?
What?
You said the last 20-30 minutes.
Oh, no.
I'm sure you meant 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was quick.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I just wanted to touch bases on the whole, just going back to the men. I mean, you can see today's world. If you're like a masculine man that likes to do manly things, you're looked upon. You're looked down upon. Like working on a car, that's what? Yeah. You're crazy.
blue collar worker.
Yeah,
You automatically looked up on like,
how
oh,
dare
no.
you?
Yeah.
How dare you get your hands dirty? Which like you got your feminine men
Yeah.
that are just like, I can't step in the puddle.
Yep.
I can't lay on the ground and get dirty. What? It's our society. From what I've seen, our society is definitely just for. No, I'm not talking about the women. I'm just talking about men. That our society has really crippled the vision and the way men are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like a man, when you think of being a man, you think of strong, you think of having the courage to doing what's right, and
You provide.
A man is a provider for his family, especially when he gets older.
Yeah.
And it's important to have that, but now you have feminine men, I guess I'll call it, that want to not take up the foundations
Yeah.
of what a man is supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's all about the corporate lifestyle now. It's that blue collar working environment that's just it's too tough, and it's
You're talking about like the white collar.
yeah
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's too tough, and it's just too dirty. It's just too much, and as a maintenance mechanic, I've been working with my hands since I was 12 years old on race cars, and yeah, it's tough work. My back hurts already, my neck hurts, like my hands are always bruised, like it's tough, but it's rewarding.
Yeah.
You're making something happen, you're making something work, you're not just sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah.
And
Funny that you mentioned, that like it's rewarding. I do agree with you. I think it's really rewarding for men, for the men who do go out there and do the hard work. It is rewarding for them. And if you look at a lot of men who are like very depressed, don't do any kind of hard work. And when it comes to women, you mentioned the white collar corporate culture. A lot of those women who are like, climbing that corporate ladder or whatever are not happy. That's why now you have a lot of these women, they're past 30, past 40, don't have any children. All what they fantasize is going to therapy, are not happy. Yeah. That's why there's one of the recent, I'm going to pull it up. I'll show you guys after. There's a research study done where it says like next 30, or no, but yeah, by 2030, it says over, I don't know what percentage it was. I think like a 40 to 50% of women over the age of 30, I believe, will be unmarried and childless, or was it 40? I don't know. It's a sad reality. But anyways, you know what I just realized? All of our voices were echoing. Now they're not echoing.
it sounded different.
It sounded now it sounded much better, right?
Yeah.
So they were echoing this whole time?
I think so. Well, I mean, it's okay. You live and learn. I mean, it's still recorded. So now I know there was this button that was pushed off. It's not pushed off anymore. Also, we're at 1 hour, 8 minute mark. I think that's pretty good for our first podcast.
Yeah. I think we can wrap it up.
I think we can wrap it up too, so we can have more to talk about next segment.
There will definitely be more to talk about. There's
always more to talk about. I think, I know I love the way it flowed. And next week when we get together, we'll have more stories to talk about. It flowed really good the way it did today. Yeah, cool. Anything else you guys want to add?
No.
Cool.
It was good first episode. It was definitely learning experience. It was kind of talking about how we see things. Yeah. More than anything in this first episode, which is good because you got to know who you are, who each other are. And
I agree. And it's good when different perspective meets, you know, even though, we love America, but we still have a lot of very different perspectives.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of international perspectives, a lot of
changing.
different perspectives.
She's definitely changing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't look like it's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got to defend her.
We have to defend her. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. This is the Deep State podcast. Thank you, guys.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye. All right.
That's pretty good.
Good job, team.